This is I Am Change podcast. Everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. There is zero success without change. Be the change you want to see. Believe, focus, achieve. Hello there and welcome. Now, following the just concluded Nigeria's general elections, there are erupting issues gaining grounds, from religious controversies and sexual exploitation, as well as rape, to agitations surrounding the Ruga settlement policy. Now, analyzing these issues with me today is Cardinal John Onaiyekan, a Nigerian Prelate of the Catholic Church and the former President of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN. It's nice to meet you, sir. Thank you very much for taking our time out of your busy schedule. We'll start with sexual exploitation and rape.
Oh my God.
In our institutions today, we find out that sex is being forced on students in exchange for good grades. What are your thoughts on this, sir?
You have to put this, my dear sister, put it in a wider context.
Okay.
I'm 75 years old this year.
Okay,
so I'm one of those who could be called of the old generation. Okay. When we grew up in primary school, in university, life was different. It was not like this. Sex was there, but handled with in a different way. This thing is not what you call the handset and internet and internet sites was not there. Now, small girls, small boys, even before they are teen, they are completely exposed to all kinds of things. And to make matters worse, we are living in an era where there is even a whole ideology out there from so-called very, very developed nations that believe that sex should simply be considered as simple as going to toilet. And therefore, even children should be taught. Just like you teach a child how to poo-poo well, without soiling himself, you should also teach them. You prepare them for it. Now, I belong to a church that is said to be conservative. We believe that this is not even good for the child. Okay. Why I'm going to all this is that this has created an atmosphere that is soaked with sex.
Okay.
And that has prepared the way for all kinds of things. Both the ones we know and the ones we do not know.
Okay, sir. Now, sexual assault now in religious communities, it's a hidden crime which is coming out. And what is the church doing?
It's not hidden more than it is hidden elsewhere now. If you say that, you mean it's everywhere it is hidden. It's taking place everywhere. We realize now that this sexual misuse of the younger generation or even of others is taking place everywhere, even within families. Our investigations have shown that children have become most at risk within their family than outside. I'm not saying their father will be abusing his daughter.
That happens.
Even though that happens.
That happens.
But there's so much of these uncles and nephews and the cousins around.
True.
Or even friends and friends of friends.
Very true.
But very often you also realize that this again is part of a bigger. I think there is effort now in many areas to start alerting the young people, even the children too, in a way that we didn't have to worry before. To tell your little girl, don't let anybody touch you here, don't let anybody touch you there. Nobody bothered about that before. Now, a wise mother will make sure he does so. And by the time the child is growing and becomes maybe 14, 15, 16, it becomes a matter of what kind of principles you as a parent have about what you think, how you think your growing up young boy or girl should grow up. There are some parents, of course, for whom the area of sexual morality, to put it lightly, they are not particularly strong. And therefore, if they themselves are not disciplined in this regard, it's going to be difficult for them to insist on disciplining their own children. And we are seeing that happening. Haven't we heard where even mothers lead their own daughters to this kind of thing in order to get whatever advantage they consider. So that is the big picture. You are talking about religious place.
Clerical abuse.
Let me say
Yes.
that this word called clerical, religious leaders, is so vast now. We don't know who is who anymore.
Okay.
As you know, even if you just take the Christian religion alone, not even talking about Islam, and then our traditional religion and so on, when you take the Christian religion, we are different. We are so different. I belong to a church where we know who is who. If you are a Catholic and you are a Reverend Father, we know who you are, and we know how we expect you to live your life. We are not saying that you will always be consistent. There are failures. But if you are not a Catholic, I cannot tell you how you should live your life. And you have your own, you make your own rule, you keep it and you don't keep it at your own risk. So in this matter, therefore, when you talk of religious leaders, especially you journalists, it's not fair to just think you are talking of a group.
Okay, should we narrow it down to the Catholic Church?
If you want to narrow it down, you can narrow it down to the Catholic Church, and I will answer you, including even what you might consider the embarrassing situation, which we have gone through in our own church too. But all I can tell you is that there's nothing that has happened in the Catholic Church that has not happened even worse elsewhere. There is the whole element of the distance between ideals and realities, which you can never cover, because that's part and parcel of our human nature. Like Paul telling us, the things I want to do, I find I cannot do it. And the things that I don't want to do, I find myself doing it. When Paul says that, how much more we ought to do? But we make effort. The important thing, my dear sister, is that there's a difference between somebody who has high ideals and fails, and somebody who decides to have no ideals at all and just does anything goes. There's a difference. Because the person who has high ideals and fails recognizes when he is falling short and makes effort. Whereas on the other side, people can even begin to be proud of the things for which they ought to be ashamed. I am paraphrasing a part of Bible.
Okay. All right, so finally, what are the steps to curb this menace of rape and sexual exploitation in our society?
It's good that you put rape within the context of the general sexual immorality.
Yes.
Because before a person begins to rape, he's somebody who has been reckless with sex. Rape is only when sexual recklessness marries violent instincts.
Right.
The people who are violent, we see that cases even in families, women who suffer a lot of what they call it now domestic violence. At the slightest opportunity, the man turns his wife into a punching bag. I hear sometimes some women who are gifted with stronger body can also deal with their husband at home. But in those cases, the man is too ashamed to go mad to cry. And that's why we don't hear about them. Now, when this kind of violent instincts also enters into sexuality, it takes all kinds of forms, including rape. You know that phenomenon which is to the shame of Africa came to the forefront in many of the wars of Africa is when rape becomes part and instrument of warfare. To the extent that the whole of humanity were abhorred of the kind of things that were happening in Democratic Republic of the Congo. That soldiers are violent people and they can also often abuse women is history of humanity. But it reached some stage, some Congo Republic, where it is really impossible to imagine to have low human beings can descend. What's the remedy?
Yes, sir.
There's no easy remedy. There's no easy remedy. Even if I suggest that you chop off everything that is causing trouble, you know Jesus once says, if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off. If your eyes cause you to trouble, block it out. But we cannot solve this problem by sterilizing every man and woman, and so that they cannot misbehave. That is not a human response. Okay. So we are back to discipline. That it is not everything that we naturally want to do, that we should do. That even what we call legitimate pleasures must be under control. Add on to that, therefore, the issues of even principles.
Okay.
You have a situation when you say young people can play around with sex, they can have sex, provided they don't injure themselves and so on. You started the trouble. What do you mean by injuring themselves? No matter how careful you are, you arm your daughter with condoms. So if anybody disturbs you, give him condom before you do it. Good. You're lucky if you succeed. Something will happen.
Of course.
And generally, with parents who do that, they have to get ready to go to the doctor for the next abortion. And is that not injuring themselves? When we agree that there are certain things that we should forego for higher reasons, one is not talking in a way you can say you are not facing reality. It is facing reality. It is facing reality. This is where religious organizations come in. No matter what we may say about cases of betrayal of trust we find in some religious leaders, I think we ought to say that basically religious leaders have the task to help the society to keep high principles. And many are doing it, I dare to say. And I'm not talking of Catholic, Christian, everybody, including Muslims, what they teach in the mosques, what they teach to their people, and what parents teach as a result of their religious principles. Which is why it is not, when you find people trying to practically talk about religion and religious leaders as if they are entities that are no longer of any use, well, they still have to give us a better alternative.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, sir. Now to the Ruga settlement scheme by the federal government. What do you think of this new policy and the controversies surrounding it?
I don't know yet, in the sense that I have not read fully what this thing called Ruga is. We never heard about it 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Never heard about Ruga 3 weeks ago. The Ruga thing began to fly around the papers about a week or two ago.
Right.
Okay. Which means this is something out of the blues. But whatever has come out, there's the reaction. And so, unfortunately, what most of us know about Ruga is what people are saying it is. Which means it is largely what the opponents are saying it is going to be, or what they are thinking is the intentions behind it. And here you have all kinds of conspiracy theories being put forward. And that is not a good kind of atmosphere for a rational discussion.
Okay.
Now, my hope is that the noise that has been created by this discussion will be an opportunity for a clear-minded, rational discussion to take place. From point of view of governance,
yes,
I don't think it is wise for a government to declare a policy that generates so much heat.
Okay.
Normally, before government announces such policies, one expects that it has been properly, sufficiently aired, and people have discussed it, and there is a wide margin of acceptance.
Okay.
From what we are hearing and from the kind of remarks we are getting from different sectors of society, it seems that those who are party to this whole thing are rather restricted. And those who are talking kept saying we were not party to it. So, and everything must be put in a context. Yeah, most of what we are hearing is Ruga is the same thing as Fulani herdsmen. If that is the case, and I'm not saying it is, if that is the case, then one would have thought that government would be extremely careful before putting forward such a project. And policies in Nigeria are judged not only by what the policy says, but also by who says it. I hope the president knows that Nigerians know that he is a Fulani man. And they will not just take his policies and say, we don't care who it is. They know who it is. I'm not saying that he should make policies to, as it were, disadvantage Fulani people. But I'm saying that he ought to know that whatever policy he puts forward, and it affects Fulanis, they will say they are his people. I'm saying that is partly responsible for the kind of reactions we are seeing. The journalists are actually getting it every day on the papers. So my suggestion, therefore, is that we had a problem on hand, the so-called herdsmen-farmers conflicts, a situation that is not peculiar to Nigeria. Nor is it a new project, a new problem. I remember we always reminded ourselves, especially those of us who read the Bible, that this is the story of Cain and Abel. Way, from the very beginning. And in many parts of the world, we are having the same issue. So the question then is, do we need a kind of forum for discussing and deciding what to do? I must say, however, that there's something that has happened in the recent past, which was not there before.
Which is?
Now that since early childhood, we had Fulanis in my village in Kaba. We know them very well. Nobody's shouted about Fulani herdsmen and farmers. And we are farmers. I spent most of my early childhood following my father to the farm. We never had any encounter with Fulani cows. Maybe they are more numerous now than when I was small. But one thing is happening, that the situation has escalated. Why is it so? I don't know. Even my very highly respected friend, the Sultan of Sokoto, agrees that normally the Fulani herdsmen in the rural areas don't arm themselves with AK-47. They are holding the stick with which they move their cows around. But it seems to be a matter that is no longer disputed, that many of them are armed with AK-47. And AK-47 are not toys, they are killing weapons. So you can see, therefore, that this issue is reached a level where it requires very, very serious governance attention, which means any policies that we bring out on this issue must be properly studied in such a way that we can all agree to it. Because if we don't all agree to it, the problem will not be solved. I'm one of those who believe that despite our differences in Nigeria, it's a beautiful country, and our differences itself is something that we should celebrate and thank God for. I also believe that whatever our differences are, they should not stop us from living together in peace. I therefore totally reject any suggestion anywhere that we are on the path to an imminent explosion of conflicting interests. And there are many things on the social media now in that direction, which I don't think we should simply ignore. Some people have things in their heart they can't write. They don't know Turanchi, they don't know Igbo. But there are a few people who are writing these things, and writing them very effectively, and are either poisoning the minds of many people or bringing into the fore the inner feelings of many people. Whichever way it is, should be taken seriously so that the right forum will be created for, using the words I used before, rational discussion. And to have a rational discussion means we believe that we can solve the problem.
True.
That the war is not inevitable. In fact, war is not only inevitable, war is something that we should not even allow to happen. So we should be working towards peaceful resolution, that Nigerians of all races, tribes, and we can, in this regard now, we can say of all professions and occupations can live in peace. And when I say professions and occupation, farming is an occupation, cattle rearing is an occupation. We should be able to live in this country, all of us. We heard that the Vice President had designed a project. Even that too has not been given adequate publicity. I was listening to television discussion this morning where somebody was making a distinction between what Vice President has worked on and which some governors, even in the states, some of the states that are problematic like Plateau, had studied and found good. And that it is different from what we are hearing about Ruga. And to some extent, the Vice President very uncharacteristically did come out to say, I'm not party to this. Okay. Now, when I hear the vice president telling the whole world that he is not party to a controversial and explosive project, which some people are telling us is the president's project. Isn't there a cause for concern?
Sure, sir. All right, sir, let's move to Nigeria. Just coming out of the 2019 general elections, what do you think of the entire process?
The election?
Yes, sir.
I thought the matter is sub judice. As they say, the case is in court.
Yeah.
I'm one of those Nigerians who believe that while elections ought to be decided at the polls and not in the courts, and that it is a reflection of the level of effectiveness of the electoral process when so many cases end up in court.
Right.
Because normally we should settle this matter at the polls where people express their minds. But when you have an electoral process, and this is not the first one, Mr. President himself reminded us that he went to court 3 times, right up to Supreme Court, which means this thing has been dogging us.
Right.
Yeah. So my first, you can see now, my first feeling is that it's really not a good thing that our election program, many of our election processes are ending up in courts, meaning that you don't have a system that people can trust, and in most countries where democracy has taken proper root, election tribunals are far between. Don't expect that you're going to go to this court. But we have devised a situation in Nigeria where we've been holding elections now for many years. Let us even say from 1999.
Yeah.
My fear is that we have been running a system which is based on the survival of the smartest.
True.
In other words, in many cases it appears that you win the election if you rig better.
Okay, sir.
Now, I'm coming to what you are saying. And that attitude is there, which means that has very badly affected the confidence of the ordinary Nigerian in the importance of election. Because they say it is not going to reflect. They will give it to whomever they want. There's always this they whom we don't know who they are. They will give it to whomever they like. Because of this, since we are taking us back to the 2019 election, because of this, the 2019 election has been equally characterized by this total feeling that the people really have not spoken. And I'm not sure even that the best solution is going to come from the courts, because even in the courts too, games are played.
Sure.
And there are many who have lost election and have decided not to bother going to court. Not because they are convinced they lost, but because they feel they have exhausted all their money in the campaigns and they have no more money for any lawyers.
Thank you very much for joining us on this groundbreaking conversation. You've been listening to I Am Change podcast. I'm Joyce Ometu.